says we've started. So, welcome everybody once again to Nerd Week Live here on YouTube, brought to you by us, the folks at Nerd Caliber, and introductions all around. We got a ton of stuff here, so I'm going to try to do this pretty quickly, and my apologies if I zip through stuff. But zipping through my introduction, I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, first-person shooter as a cosplay photographer, Burley_adopter on Twitter and some other places. And we will, from what appears in my frame directly below me, we will go with the man with the red banded headphones.
Woo! Yes, Lucid Sound headphones. My name is Byron Neal. On the interweb, I am known as Byron D0. I run a small little podcast called the Weeb Trash Can Podcast. Where we talk about all things anime. We're on all the podcasty type platforms now, including SoundCloud. But don't expect too many new episodes until I can actually afford to get more stuff up there because they're skinflints. I'm also the contributing writer, and social media guy for Nerd Caliber, and I sometimes do a little on-screen talent.
There you go. Before we get to our next guest, Lauren, hello. Lauren, hello again. All them popos, hello. And also joining us in the fabulous Orange is the New Goldenrod.
I like that completely. Hi, my name is Gogo Incognito. I've been with Nerd Caliber for years. I'm so excited to be joining them again this year at New York Comic Con as one of their video hostesses. But here's what exciting with me. I am a professional nerdlesker. And if you are going to be in anywhere near Kansas City next week, I'm competing for the Master of Nerdlesk. And I'll give you a little bit more information about that at the end of the show. So stay tuned. Also, my name is Gogo Incognito. That's all you need to know. You just Gogo Incognito.
Exactly. Billy, welcome. And that just answered your question as to who that was. Waifu Pennywise, welcome. You're Pennywise the Dancing Clown with the name Waifu. Interesting. All right, moving on to our first topic. And this one is painful. That image right there is from Violet Evergarden, and I'm sure if you're into anime at all, you heard the news, even if you're not. One of Kyoto Animation's studios was attacked by a disturbed individual who set the building on fire. 33 people initially died either at the scene or were declared dead at the hospital. One more has since died from their injuries, bringing the death toll to 34. This is the highest death toll from any sort of mass attack in Japanese history since World War II.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Dong Huang, welcome. I see you two go back and forth. Have fun. We don't have time really to get into all my reaction and everybody else's reaction here about this, but the long and the short of this is you don't know Kyoto Animation's work. Violet Evergarden is one of them. It's up on Netflix right now. The movie A Silent Voice is brilliant. It's up on Netflix right now. It is trigger warning. Trigger warning for Violet Evergarden. Warfare, gunshots, warfare-related dismemberment.
PTSD.
Trigger warning for A Silent Voice, extreme bullying, and attempted suicide. But having said that, they are both brilliantly redemptive stories. So
yes, they're beautiful stories.
Unless you get triggered by those actual things, please don't have that keep you away from it. It's just horrible. My thoughts go out to these people. My heart breaks for these people. And weigh in here, folks. I know both of you have things.
I've been following this for a better part of the last week. Since I was out of work for a little bit, it was on my mind. I've just been talking with a couple of my podcast people about this. I want to actually try to do a GoFundMe to help with like efforts, if I can, through We Trash Can. And it was all over plagiarism. It's like, as a creative, I kind of get it, but
Well, as of today, that is the general consensus, but the police have not said anything about what this individual's motive was. So let's not say that for sure. Go right ahead.
No, one thing that I saw that was very happy. Again, this is a studio that is absolutely known for hiring female talent, women talent.
Yes.
yes.
And like this is one of the groundbreakers in Japan, and all the stuff they had coming through the pipeline that was going back. Like you had these female talent, and then they got their own shows and all this stuff. So it's difficult to be completely in like the last people who will hear about this, but I do know that some of the women were able to get out and they're okay, and that's
Yes.
fantastic. But it's really we have to think about this as not just an attack on creativity, but attack on female-led creativity, and it makes me so uncomfortable again, because this was one of those Japanese studios where it was like, hey, your writers, directors, producers, executive producers, this was a disproportionate number of lady in all that regards, whether you are cis lady, you are biofemale lady, whether you are signed for whatever. Point being, this was absolutely an attack on the most
Yes. Let me just go. Let me say it was an attack on the most advanced, diverse studio in Japan.
Exactly.
But again, we don't know this guy's motivations. It seems to be based on a completely, as Byron pointed out, completely made up in his head plagiarism claim, and not that the studio had this reputation of, which was absolutely true, hiring a diverse crowd and particularly hiring amazingly talented women.
It's just a very sad coincidence, though.
Yeah.
It is, but I'm glad that some people have been able that they have made it out. And man, this is hard. It's just hard. It's just hard.
It is.
It's very hard. More than 30 people survived. Many of those do have injuries. There is still, according to what I've read, one that is on the critical list. Byron mentioned the idea of doing a GoFundMe. There is a GoFundMe that exists out there. It was created the day of the attack by Sentai Filmworks, one of the American-based importers of Japanese animation. It set a goal of $750,000. It raised more than $1 million in under 24 hours. It is now 5 days old and is 1.8 million at least, more than doubling its goal. Check it out. It's a hashtag Help Kyo Annie Heal. KYOANI for Kyoto Animation. Kyo Annie.
Yes.
And
a portmanteau.
Yes.
Yeah.
And please do check that out. And again, they made some of my absolute favorite animation or anime products years, and it hurts particularly more for me, even though it shouldn't, because of that.
I mean, even if you're not necessarily a fan of anime, if you're a fan of animation, if you're a fan of art, just like it, at the very least, pay your respects, because shows like Violet Evergarden, it's like watching a painting come to life. The artistry they put into their work.
It's beautiful. We got to move on. We've got so many things to cover that we really need to move on.
Yeah.
And our first topic is that is, of course, what was called in the United States when it came here way back in the 70s, Battle of the Planets. And the news is the Russo brothers, Marvel's masters for making the Winter Soldier and Infinity War and Endgame, are going to be producing an updated version of Battle of the Planets. And this is a real deep cut. If you're an indie comics fan from the 80s, Grimjack. John Ostrander wrote it. Tim Truman drew it. it was just. Waifu says her favorite, their favorite anime is Sailor Moon.
Fantastic.
Awesome choice. Anyway, Grimjack is this weird, super indie comic that features this character, John Gaunt, who's the character that's up in front of you there, in a fantasy city that sits at the intersection of like every dimension in a multiverse.
So kind of like Dark Tower.
Kind of like Dark Tower, because it was really popular in the heyday of the 80s indie scene. For a while, it had weird guest stars coming over, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe was connected to it, and the Turtles appeared in an issue or two. So it could get, yeah, it could get super weird.
I would love to see what the Russos do with this. Maybe get like a cameo from Chris Evans.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I'm not sure that they got the money for that, but that would be wonderful.
Like just
money and time. Yeah, so sure.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just like as Chris Evans, not necessarily as Steve Rogers. Just have him come in, make a cameo.
That could be. I'm looking at this. Grimjack is being worked on as a series.
Ooh.
And Battle of the Planets, which they may direct, not just produce. Joe Russo said if he directs it, it's going to be a live action film.
Oh my god, I have so I got a mini rant for this. So,
rant away, but mini.
Okay,
but rant away.
Okay, so those of you who know the source material for Battle of the Planets, Gatchaman, there was a live action version of it in Japan, and it was absolute trash. Oh my god!
Always capture live action theater.
Theater.
Better and sometimes. Yes, no, theater.
Yeah,
sometimes better and sometimes it's worse. It's just like every novel that goes to a movie that goes back to novel. Whenever you're going to change something that already exists and it's already good, and you take it into different medium,
it's a crapshoot. But I will say Japan has done a better job of adapting anime to live action than anything that's been done in the US.
Yeah, but Gatchaman is definitely the exception because they turned it into a love story where Ken the Eagle and Joe the Condor were romantic rivals for the female version of the villain Bird Costi. She was transformed into after a space mission.
So let's again. You can go deep into these cuts. We got a lot of stuff we got to cover.
I know. It's just, please respect the original story. Don't do like they did in Japan, guys.
So, All Them Popo's going to check out a bunch of things, including Battle of the Planets. If you can find an English sub or dub of the original Gatchaman, that's the one to check out, Popo's.
The ADV dub, yes.
Yeah, don't.
Him. Yeah. Right. Or I
actually, G-Force was decent enough.
All right, that's true. But try not to watch Battle of the Planets. That was somebody's idea in the 70s of how to bring Japanese animation into the United States, and you know that failed. I forgot, Tatum, hello. I forgot to say hello to you. All right, moving on to our next topic. Those are Supermen. Both of those Supermen will be appearing in the upcoming CW crossover, which is Crisis on Infinite Earths, right?
Yes.
Completely, absolutely.
I'm so excited for this.
I'm not. I'm confused, and so
okay.
I'm going to here represent the geeks that don't follow Superman, but love their DC, and be like, explain.
So,
Tell it to me.
So obviously, light blue suit is Brandon Routh, who was Superman in the Bryan Singer attempt to reboot the original series, Superman Returns. Was that the name of it?
Yes.
Yep.
And he is currently playing the Atom in the CW overall multiverse. Particularly, he is in the series Legends of Tomorrow.
Yes.
Ray Palmer, the Atom.
So we give him the benefit of the doubt.
Well, but he did play Superman.
Yes.
The other Superman in the darker suit is Tyler Hoechlin, and he plays Superman as Supergirl's cousin in the CW Supergirl series.
Yes.
He's freaking
Reoccurring
amazing.
character.
He
really is.
Oh, he should get his own show. He is absolutely the best Superman put on any screen in decades.
Absolutely.
The upcoming crossover is going to get to a universe in which Brandon Routh, which the actor is going to portray, in fact, Superman in that universe, just like he did in the previous movie, and probably will meet himself as Ray Palmer. But the two Supermans will definitely come together. That was the release or the news that there will be two Supermans that meet in this upcoming crossover in December.
So shorthand version is it's the multiverse theory.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a different version of you in every alternate dimension.
And so, as a DC fan, Gogo, you're familiar with Crisis on Infinite Earths, the big crossover?
Absolutely. I'm just not a Superman fan, so
okay.
That's why I'm like, explain it beyond, because I have nothing except like smiles and
yeah. So if you haven't watched any of the movies or you don't watch Supergirl or any of the stuff, then you really wouldn't know who these people are. But
yeah,
Byron
exactly. Yeah, all the Superman things that have come up recently with the I had to stop. The last Superman that really got to me was oh geez, he was in a cornfield. It was like 90s.
Oh, yes.
Dean Cain?
Smallville.
Thank you.
No, not
that,
Dean Cain.
yeah.
No.
I like Dean Cain as Superman.
Who was the actor in Smallville?
Thank you. That's him. I just can't remember all these names. Yes. No, that again saying, hey, DC girl right here, but
Not the Superman part.
yeah, no. But that was the last Superman role, like that I like bought into like hardcore.
So, waifu Pennywise. We'll be talking about Harley Quinn in a little bit, so
Yep.
stay tuned.
Yes, don't
And
Don't
Popo's
go nowhere.
also wants a Superman show with Tyler Hoechlin. I couldn't agree more. He is really amazing. Didn't realize this until I watched a video a while back that he was the son in Road to Perdition. So his acting,
he's a youngin'.
yeah, his acting chops started having to act in almost every scene with Tom Hanks and a bunch of scenes with Paul Newman.
Well, that's heavy.
Damn, son.
Incredible. Are we talking about Dean Cain still?
No. Tyler
No.
Hoechlin. Tyler Hoechlin. The dark suited Superman that was up on the screen. Right
With
there.
the chiseled jaw.
Well, yeah, so does Routh, so they all have chiseled jaws. Pennywise, we talked about Brightburn a while ago, but it's been out, and so there's no real news for it right now. But yes, it is a deconstruction of the Superman story. So, all right, next topic. Another trailer. So many of these trailers did not drop at San Diego Comic-Con. They dropped during San Diego Comic-Con, meaning these people did not necessarily have a panel or anything, because Marvel sucked up all the oxygen in the room. But that picture that you just that's up on your screen right there is one of the very last shots in the latest trailer for the HBO series Watchmen. And in it, we discover that Dr. Manhattan is coming back. We discover that a Night Owl, the Owl Ship is definitely in it, and it was in the last trailer. There's no question, it's the Owl Ship in this trailer. And you get a very, very quick glimpse of somebody in the Night Owl costume. So, Night Owl.
Yeah, you blink and you'll miss it.
Yeah, it's really quick. It is definitely coming back. I really doubt that it's the original Night Owl, because if Ozzy is that old, if Ozymandias is old enough that Jeremy Irons can play him, then you got to figure that Night Owl is
Yeah.
not going to be kicking stuff. Pennywise, Watchmen was a limited run comic series that ultimately was collected into a graphic novel in the early 90s or late 80s.
Early 90s.
Early
Yeah.
90s. That was by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, and that was turned into a movie 8-ish years ago, 10 years ago, by Zack Snyder.
That was our early 2000s.
I don't think it was early 2000s. Mid?
Well, I think it was mid 2000s.
Yeah. Anyway.
The important.
Yeah.
Oh.
By Zack
The
Snyder, and it's an amazing cinematic experience. HBO now has a series, or will have a series coming up. They're in production with it, that takes that story and extends it into the future. A story of kind of what would happen if superheroes really did exist, or heroes really did exist, and then a superhero really showed up. With all of the horrible flaws of the kind of person you would imagine. I mean, Batman seriously suffers from mental illness, but somehow he manages to fight through it and become Batman. What if he couldn't, but still wanted to fight people?
I love it.
Oh,
That's what makes Rorschach. That's what makes Rorschach an interesting character.
yeah,
So,
it is.
yeah.
Every fist pump Go-Go is doing right now, I'm 100%, 1,000%. I love Watchmen. It's brilliant at so many levels.
Yes, I have a lot of thoughts about this trailer. What I've seen of it anyway. I'm definitely here for all of it. It looks amazing. I'm loving these cults of characters from the original story. Like you have the cult of Rorschach. You have people treating Dr. Manhattan like he is the second coming of Jesus. And it's just so amazing.
Go that you're clinging to like the old styles.
Well, I don't know. Clinging? I don't know if Byron's clinging.
No, that's not the right word. That's not the right word. It's just again.
Well, no, that's what's going on in the narrative. You have like these characters who are wearing Rorschach like masks, and they're quoting him.
Right. So yeah, there are sort of vigilante gangs that are inspired by Rorschach. There are vigilante. So because of that, and because of the fact that police have been targeted by these gangs, police are now wearing masks as well. That's where the yellow masks you see.
Yes.
That's the standard default uniform for the police these days, so that they can't be identified and targeted by these vigilantes. Gotcha. Hello, and you don't know what? Ask away. We can't probably tell you, but we'll help. Anyway, I think it looks awesome. I love, like I think Gogo was trying to say, that this advance of the story is very intriguing. That moving the story so far forward.
Absolutely that. Yes.
Awesome. All right. Pennywise asks, "Is it like The Purge?" It's not quite that dystopian.
It's deconstruction of superheroes. I feel.
Yeah. It's really tough. I would recommend watching the movie. There are some dystopian elements to the movie, but it's not really a dystopian story in that regard.
It's maybe like minor dystopian fantasy, like sci-fi hero.
Yeah.
Purge is completely. They want it to be horror. Like they get you viscerally. Like that's what they want. And how many? I mean, there's been a bunch of those now. Like if you really want to get your oomph on, go to the later seasons. Like go to the later movies. The more Purge we get into, the more political they get, and that's one thing I like. But it's nowhere near the same.
And in that sense, Watchmen shares that. Watchmen is a deeply political comic book movie, and I'm assuming the same will be the case with the TV series.
Yeah, because the original story we focused a lot on the Red Scare.
Right.
And the whole yes. in the Cold
Uh,
War.
yeah, the fear of the Red Scare. Honestly, it's not other than the fact that the Doomsday Clock is an important element, and we get closer and closer to the worry of nuclear annihilation as the series goes along. Uh, the actual Red Scare doesn't really play any role other than that fear. Um, anyway, again, this is another thing that all of us could just go on and on about. Very excited about it. Our next very excited, or I guess I have to say tentatively excited, for me anyway. That's an armored bear, folks. So you know if it's an armored bear.
Yes.
Yes.
Do your thing, and then I'll chime in.
So the real quick is um, the first trailer, no, actually the second trailer, again a second trailer for His Dark Materials. It's an adaptation of the Philip Pullman books, a movie of which was made, The Golden Compass.
Yes.
Dropped, and we finally get to see more of the bear Yorick. We get to see more of Lin-Manuel Miranda as Lee Scoresby. Not Game of Thrones Pennywise. It's a completely different series, and it's pretty amazing. But anyway, check it out. You get to see a lot of cool stuff. And go.
I'm going to be really short. I read all the books a while back to the point where I was like, this is weird. I'm waiting for you to bring it into the movie in a way that like we can actually see, because it was one of the few books I've read, like fantasy styles, where I'm like, this is hard for me to visualize. And I say that as somebody who reads so many fantasy books, who's had that graduate degree. But anyway, I'm just here for it. So they're starting over. And we get all the armored bear stuff. Great.
Yes. Very cool. Byron.
That's just through the first. So give it to us, prove that you can do it, and then we'll maybe come with you for like the physical stuff that was actually really hard to read. But I'm so with you.
Okay, so I am taken aback by how the powerhouse of talent they have into the story. You got Lin-Manuel Miranda,
Good.
James McAvoy, Daphne Keane.
Fine.
Yes. Who, you know, I am so happy to see have this be her sophomore project.
She killed it literally in Logan.
Yes. I'm also I haven't read any of the books, but I know enough about the narrative that it is challenging religion, which coming from a religious upbringing, I'm always about that.
It does. It absolutely does. It takes a smart brain to realize that it's challenging all that for all the things. So kudos to you for seeing that.
So just 2 points. One is the executive producer has said that this will not be an anti-religion show, which was one of the failings of the movie The Golden Compass, is it didn't play up how much the magisterium was involved in all of these horrible things. That doesn't seem to be the case in the trailer that I'm seeing. It looks pretty clear that the magisterium is, which is this show's analog of essentially all churches, but mainly the Catholic Church, is deeply involved in all of the nasty shenanigans that are going on that makes up the plot of the story. The other thing is, you were talking about the amazing cast. I looked on IMDb, and there is no credit yet, and I have not yet seen any credit as to who's going to be doing the voice of Yorick.
Yeah, no, I saw that too, and I feel a certain way about it. I think for me, part of me is when this came out, like the movie came out, and then there was all this stuff, and then there were people who said they went from the movie to the books, and the books do have angels who have no gender, which is actually how it is in the Bible, and people were like, "Oh my God!"
So I think those characters or those beings don't show up in the first book. Is that correct? Or do they show up in the first book? I don't want to do spoilers because there's a lot of stuff we could say about how really weird this goes in the later books.
And let me read it again because this is. I think they do at the end.
Okay, so so let's try not to get into that stuff because obviously the series is starting right with the first book, and that really deep weirdness isn't in the trailer and probably isn't going to be in the beginning of the series. So we don't want to give too much away to people.
Understood.
Okay. Dimitri, welcome, and I'm sorry that we scared you. I'm not really sure how. It might have been the giant bear, but
Probably.
hopefully you won't be scared by our next topic. Our next topic is engaging, if you'll pardon the awful pun. The first trailer, not the second. Now, this one is actually a first. The first trailer for Star Trek Picard.
Yes.
Coming up on the CBS All Access is out, and it's fantastic. And in the news is so many cast members from Next Generation are coming back. Marina Sirtis, Jonathan Frakes,
Yay.
Brent Spinner, and I believe he pronounces it Spinner even though it's spelled Spiner. Data is back. Pennywise, that is a screenshot from the Star Trek Picard series that's coming up on CBS Interactive, which is what we're up to at this point. I'm looking at the article here. It won't be in the upcoming season. I believe it's a 2020 release.
Yes, 2020. Yeah.
Yep. Which is kind of too bad. Go ahead.
Guess I can't cancel my account yet.
Well, you can suspend it for a while. Discovery looks. I'm still a big fan of Discovery, Star Trek Discovery, which is the kind of prequel series to the original series that was on CBS All Access. Just as an aside, they announced that the next season of Discovery will, as it kind of indicated at the end of season 3, jump them forward 1,000 years.
Holy crap.
So we get to see whatever the galaxy is, at least in that timeline. And of course, we now know that there are, well, we've known all the way back from the original series that there are multiple timelines. We get to see what, what happened to the Federation or happens to the Federation, what the universe is like in 1,000 years. So I'm very excited for that. But that's not Picard.
So I was going to say, before you go back to Picard, so we might see the start of the Klingon War.
1,000 years. So the prequel in Star Trek Discovery, we actually do see the start of the Klingon War. That's what the series is essentially about, at least in the first season, is about that original Klingon War. What the universe is like 1,000 years after the current runs of series, who knows? But anyway, Picard is set 20 years after the end of Next Generation. And it looks really exciting. I love the characters. I have no idea why there's a Vulcan with a sword on his back, but I don't care.
Why not?
Exactly. Don't care.
Yep.
Don't care.
Don't care. I'm here for it. I love it. I'm sure they'll come up with an explanation that I'm going to accept no matter what it is, because it's a Vulcan with a sword on his back.
My main thing I took from this trailer is I like the whole coming out of retirement thing. It plays like a real life version of those episodes on the holodeck where Data and Geordi would play detective, or Picard doing Dixon Hill. Only it's now it's oh, this is actually really happening now. This isn't a game.
And there's apparently some serious stakes. Chodor, welcome to the show. Weeaboo Samurai Vulcan. I'll work with that. So yeah, just one other thing. The design aesthetic of this is fantastic. At the beginning, when you see Picard is at his family vineyards, and the camera pulls back and tilts up from looking at the grounds, and the vines are being watered by these floating, watering, fertilizing, or whatever, floating tractor things that look so much like some of the stuff out of the Abrams Star Trek reboots.
I just had another thought, actually.
Yeah, Go-Go, I agree with it, but from a design aesthetic, the look of the technology in the Abrams reboots was beautiful. And I really like it.
That I say this. The story, I'm like, meh. So.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. The aesthetic's definitely great in the Abrams movies.
Completely with you.
I just had one more thought.
Okay.
This kind of reminds me of a lesser-known Ian McKellen movie called Mr. Holmes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, where Sherlock Holmes comes out of retirement.
Yeah, yes. I remember that.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's like, I can't help but feel like this just cements their bromance that much more.
Well, yes. I mean, we all know they've got a fantastic bromance. I think you're kind of, like, twisting to make something interlock, but that's okay. Moving on to our next topic. You're a fanboy. I get it.
Yeah,
you ship them.
I know. I'm with you on all those ships. Go on, boss.
Moving on to that is in fact not Jeremy Irons, although it kind of looks like him now that I think about it in that shot. That is Henry Cavill as Geralt of Rivia. Rivia? How do you pronounce that? And that is from the first trailer from The Witcher finally dropped. They call it a teaser. It's longer than a standard trailer. It's fantastic looking.
It's one of those, you know what I feel like they did with this, even though this is going to be not a video game and it's based on like The Witcher, which is so amazing.
Witcher books, just to be clear. People don't know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait, what?
Which is a book series. The games are based on the book series as well, and so the show is based on the book series.
Right.
But yeah.
I'm doing this. All right, so, okay, cool. Books, video games, cat fur. I just got it. Okay. But for people who haven't read the books, also I'm personally going to go and read the books because I've been so interested in these characters, but I don't want to take the time for the video game. So they're going to get into this with there's money behind this. I think it's going to be good.
It has big Netflix money behind this.
Big money. Like, I can't wait. Even though most of what I know, and again, thank you, Rodney, about the book thing, because I did not know.
That's okay.
So I will go and read that, but, oh.
I gotta get back to the games myself, actually. Because I have two on my PC and 3 on my PS4.
But at this point, we're talking about they're bringing live action with these characters that already look like. I think this is going to be a no-brainer.
Oh yeah.
It's all down. Like, look, costuming. We know this is going to happen. The look. So give us a story. I'm so excited again for a game I've never played.
And just to, I have, like you, Byron, I have The Witcher 3 on my desktop and have not cracked it once, which is a shame. Anthony says Geralt of Rivia, kind of like Geraldo Rivera. Well, that would be Geralt of Rivia. Both of us failed on those jokes. Both of us failed, Anthony. All right, we got to race. Like, we got to really race. So, one more topic before we get into a couple of the big roundups. And this one's kind of on me, so I'll make it real quick. The Expanse Season 4 trailer dropped. Amazon saved this show. The money that Amazon is putting into it is so much on display in this trailer. They hired Byrne effing Gorman to be the big baddie? Complicated baddie? It's hard to say. Anyway, the antagonist for sure. And the science is still spot on. Even in the trailer, we get to see Naomi, who's a belter and has never, ever been on a planet bigger than a planetesimal or an asteroid, essentially like Ceres, working out all the time until they get to this planet because it's going to be her first time on a planet. And the first time she looks up, she just collapses because she has no reference for looking up at a sky while walking through a gravity field higher than anything she's ever been in. And that sort of stuff is what I live for of this series, in addition to the fantastic plots, the amazing characters. If you're a hard sci-fi fan, watch this please watch this.
I do have a question as someone who hasn't jumped into this pool yet. What do you think this this Amazon might be accessible to new viewers?
No. Nope. If you haven't watched previous seasons, watch them on Amazon. They're all on Amazon. You will be thrown into a really complicated universe that became amazingly more complicated at the end of season 3 than it was even up to that point. So maybe you can jump in, but you won't get any of the information about why there are people called belters, the people who don't live in the inner planets, what the political ramifications, because the political ramifications of the solar system, Earth, Mars, and the Belt, just like any other colonial period in human history, expand out into the universe. So I would not recommend jumping into this cold without watching the first 3 seasons, or at least the first season. You might be able to jump. They'll do a good recap of what happened. I would still watch at least the first season.
All right.
All right, so we're talking about the Expanse?
The Expanse, yes.
Okay. We're talking about the Expanse, and get the first season. If you can't, get the second season. It's queued up on my thing. I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be good.
Awesome. Now we move into our first roundups, and this is our DCU roundup. First off, DCU is going to still exist. Yay! That was made abundantly clear with these announcements. Again, not at San Diego Comic-Con, because Warner Brothers was not about to step in and get trounced by Marvel. But first one up, Doom Patrol picked up for season 2.
Yes.
Yay! As our occasional contributor here, Lewis, has pointed out in a post that he made, this has the best representation of LGBTQ on almost anything on a streaming platform going on right now. It's amazing.
What's it called?
Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol.
Yes, like the DC comic, Doom Patrol. And in fact, that's, Robot Man, and that's Negative Man, that's Cyborg, and that is, what the heck's her name?
Elastigirl?
Yeah, but it's not Elastigirl, because that's
Elastigirl woman.
Elasti-Woman, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
not. Yes.
Because Elastigirl is Incredibles.
Yes.
Yeah, so this show has been picked up for a second season. Watch it just for Alan Tudyk being the narrator for the entire show and the main villain. The main villain narrates the show.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
It is, and Alan Tudyk is so good as everything, of course.
Everything all the time. He's incredible.
The king of voice actors.
Yes, and actors, I think. I mean,
yes.
Wash. Just anyway.
Yes.
All right, so that's the first one. Doom Patrol is renewed. Second one is we got to see, and was it Pompo? Who was it said before? Popo? No, it wasn't Popo. It was Pennywise. Yes, Pennywise. Yes. Here you go, Pennywise. The first trailer for the new Harley Quinn series dropped. And boy, did they make it very clear that this is, as are many things on the DCU series, R, and a pretty serious R. It would be right there in like the post-midnight Adult Swim block. It's that crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And that violent.
Well, given what they did with Young Justice Outsiders, I'm not surprised, because I haven't seen the trailer yet, but I'm prepared to see some gore of some sort.
Yeah, I would
see shenanigans.
Outsiders, yes, they definitely matured it up, even though the first seasons were pretty mature for a cartoon. Has nothing on this. I'm serious. This is, I don't know what to compare it to. It's insane.
F-bombs.
We can compare it to something, and that makes it amazing. So let's celebrate what it is, where there's going to be gore. There's just going to be that. and it's going to be adult content. So, I mean, I know that people are already foo-fooing it because it's Harley, but
It's
she deserves those stories
she
with
does, and just the way. So one of the things that people, hold on, Pennywise, yay! But I thought her style was going to be the comics Harley Quinn. It is. This happens to be one of the better high res images that I was able to grab, and she is just wearing this shirt. I think she's actually yelling at Ivy here in this scene. So it's a casual scene. Normally she is in the comic shorts and top, the black and red, very traditional. So yeah, a lot of people have complained about Kaylee Cuoco doing the voice. She does not have anything remotely like a New York accent. I don't care. I think she does a great job portraying a character, the character, whether she's got necessarily that accent exactly down. She totally flosses in the trailer, and it's a pure meme, Chodor says.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't notice that. I think that's probably true.
I feel the same way. I know that there's been a lot of people coming for the voice actor because they're like, oh, she doesn't sound like Harley. It's like, look at the writing. Look at what they're giving the character to do. Look at her relationships. Look at growth. So, okay, so she doesn't sound exactly as she did before when she was all like, Mr. J.
That she's trying to make it her own, and that's the important.
It's just evolution, y'all. Like,
Yep.
if we're gonna
This-
go into the story and we're gonna and we're gonna be right with everything that we've asked for Harley for years.
Here's a great example. Byron, do you remember who did the voice of Joker in Red Hood? It wasn't a usual. It was a big change. I can't remember the voice actor's name.
John DiMaggio.
DeMatteis, yes.
Yes, John DiMaggio.
Oh, DiMaggio.
John DiMaggio.
That's right. It was DiMaggio.
Yes.
It's
I
not
love
it's
him.
not the maniacal crazy Mark Hamill. It's not any of the others. He certainly has a crazy laugh. It also is one of the most chilling portrayals of the Joker.
Yes.
And
So let these actors do their thing, folks.
let the writer
My, yeah.
give us what we've been asking for absolute years. Come on. We wanted this. We're getting it.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
Byron, point. We got to move
Yes.
on. Point.
My thing is, I have the same feeling about this as I do about Will Smith playing the genie in Aladdin. It's like they're not trying to copy what has already been. So stop comparing them. Let them do their thing.
Good point. Pennywise, what about It Chapter 2? We covered that when the last trailer dropped. It looks really awesome, but it wasn't in any real big news in this last week, so that's why it's not in this show. The last item in the DCU stuff, Titans. We got a date for Season 2, and it's in September. So we do not have to wait that terribly long. It is September when? September, come on. 6th. September 6th. Early September. We get to see Bruce Wayne. We get to... Yes. We get to hopefully see the resolution of the cliffhanger. No spoilers. At the end of Season 1. And I'm really looking forward to this. I had problems with the first season, but not huge problems. And I really liked the more mature take that they had on this mythos. So, unfortunately, there's one little thing. They actually, in the production in Toronto, they had a stuntman killed. They didn't have him killed. A stuntman died in the setup and the testing of a particular stunt. So, very sad about that. Condolences to them. All right. Moving on to the insanity that was Marvel. So, Marvel announced its Phase 4. We're going to talk about that. We're going to hit all of the points, or most of the points. But one of the things it announced, it made no specific announcements of anything outside these Phase 4 elements. except that they're rebooting Blade, and two-time Academy Award winner Mahershala Ali is going to be playing Blade. Yes, big thumbs up. No announcement about when it is, and not even a statement that it's Phase 5. It's coming up, but it's not in Phase 4. And there are people who are speculating that this means that the Netflix stuff, because he played Cottonmouth in the first Luke Cage season, that the Netflix stuff was not in the MCU. That's clearly
it really wasn't.
It was. They made specific references to the Battle of New York.
It's pretty specific about what's coming up next. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the Netflix stuff was in the MCU. There's no question about that. They referenced the Battle of New York and all the damage that occurred. They referenced the Hulk and the Abominations battle.
Yeah. The snap was never involved in like later seasons though.
Well, yeah, it's because the later seasons ended before any of the stuff in Infinity Game, even though it came out afterwards. Even though Jessica Jones came out afterwards.
Fair.
Anyway, we get to see a reboot of Blade, and we get to see a brilliant actor. Oh, he is so good. Mahershala Ali is a genius.
Yes.
Totally into this completely. Blade was cheesy when it was, but we liked it. But make it better. Going to? All right, here for it.
So,
completely.
This, folks, that's your Phase 4. So we're going to talk about everything in there except the first one, Black Widow, because they did not show any information. They paraded a bunch of people out, and they showed some stuff that we obviously can't see because they will never put out early footage that people at Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con get to see.
Yeah.
I'm sure somewhere on YouTube you can find a bootleg version if it hasn't been taken down. But we're going to hit everything else except the What If series, because it's an animated series, and it's basically just like the comic book. It's a whole bunch of, what if Spider-Man had 8 limbs? It's got to be a whole bunch of those. The only thing to say about it is that all existing actors will be voice acting if their character is in any of the What Ifs.
Woo!
That goes from the movies to the streaming site.
Yes.
Yes.
That's going to be on the Disney Plus.
Yes.
So awesome.
Pennywise, my favorite Marvel character is Captain Marvel, and Spider-Gwen. Cool. I would be willing to bet you will see those two in What If stories. Our first announcement was Falcon and the Snowman.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Falcon and the Snowman was a movie.
Wait, hold on.
Thank you, Byron.
Snowman.
Yeah.
Right.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or Falcon and Captain America, realistically. No, Winter Soldier and Captain America. Anyway, the big reveal about that, other than the date, which if we go back to the... why did I skip over there? Which if we go back to the Phase 4, this is the problem with having so many of these things, is fall 2020. So a little more than a year.
Almost all of these are a 2020 or 2021. Even like the sorry, hold on, there's a fuzz. Okay, even the Black Widow movie that we have been talking about for years. And it was going to be like the first Marvel, like, I mean, Captain Marvel came out and it was amazing. But it was years ago that they were like, we're doing this Black Widow movie. But that's now like 2021, I think.
Yeah, well, they just started filming a few months ago. And so the Phase 4, that's one of the things to note, that the Phase 4, it takes place within 2 years, which you realize there's been 3 phases over 10 years in Marvel, so that's 3.5 years for a given phase generally. They are tightening up these phases, and they are almost an even 50-50 split between movies and the Disney Plus TV series. So the interaction between those is going to be huge. One more announcement about Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Let's hear it.
Daniel Bruhl is coming back as Zemo, and at the very end of his appearance,
Baron Zemo.
And he did it as though he was Zemo, and he's like breaking into their broadcast. And at the very end, he puts on a purple mask.
Yes, and I was so excited when I heard about that. Ooh, I love Zemo as a villain. He is like such an underrated Captain villain. Ugh.
He is going to be full-on Baron Zemo in this series, and damn,
Heinrich.
One, Daniel Bruhl's fantastic. What an amazing actor. And the fact that he either got paid enough or loved the role enough or both, that he's coming back for a TV series.
I think we just have to accept that there is money for this because, again, we not only have Loki with Tom Hiddleston for like whatever, that's coming back in 2021, but they have said, and like the teaser that they put out this week was like, oh, your favorite Marvel actors will be back to reprise their roles in the TV series. And it's like,
yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and that doesn't mean that they're actually going to be there for more than like one episode. But the point is, there is money there. They're going to do it. And even people that are like, I'm done, no, they're coming back.
So moving on. Oh, go ahead. Quick. Gotta go.
I want to bring up one thing about Black Widow. David Harbour is going to be playing a very important character in it. He's playing what's the
Red Guardian. Red
Guardian, which is the Russian equivalent of Captain America.
Yep.
It's going to be awesome.
When he came out on the stage, he was wearing a kind of Captain America T-shirt, and showed it off to sort of hammer that point home. But yeah, he plays Alexei, the Red Guardian. Moving on, November 2020. That is the cast for Eternals. We don't have a lot of time. I'm not going to go into what the Eternals is. It's Marvel super space powerful godlike being family. You want to talk about money? Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, and
Millie Bobby Brown.
What? No.
I heard rumors about Millie Bobby Brown.
That's a rumor. She wasn't on the stage.
Oh, okay.
We have no idea. She's not in Eternals as far as we know. Kumail Nanjiani, I'm not sure how much of it, but he's a name. And it's killing me. I can't remember his name. Robb Stark from Game of Thrones.
Yes, Richard Madison. Yes,
thank you, Richard Madison.
Yes, such a good actor.
That's a cast, folks.
So excited for this, and again, we will. I feel like Rodney will come back to this as we get closer because because again, this was just SDCC stuff, and it's very exciting, and we'll just have to wait, and you guys will stay with us as we do this, right?
Wow, this cast just looks amazing. I'm here for this.
Yep.
I forget the actor's name. He's in Atlanta. What's his name again?
Hold on. I got to bring this. I don't know if the rundown that I have has the entire cast. Brian Tyree Henry.
Yes, I loved him in Into the Spider-Verse. By the way.
Oh, who's his voice?
He was Miles' father.
Oh, he was amazing as that. He plays Hephaestus, obviously based on Hephaestus.
Yes. And he's actually from the UK, so the fact that he can do such an amazing American accent.
Yes. Moving on because we got to move on. I'm so sorry. We are running late. This is your Shang-Chi, folks, and we got the title of the movie, which I am so effing excited for.
Yes.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Those 10 rings are being worn by the actual Mandarin. And Tony effing Leung is playing the Mandarin. One of my absolute favorite Chinese actors. He's been in almost everything. He's Hero. If it's a Wong Kar-wai film, he's probably been the lead. He is fantastic, and I can't imagine a better pick to play the Mandarin.
So we're talking Mandarin like they did badly with Ben Kingsley in Iron Man 3?
So in Iron Man 3, he plays a guy, if you remember, playing the Mandarin. Remember, that's all a plot set up by Killington. not Killington.
Yeah.
Killian.
Killian. No, yeah, it was Killian. Point is, I was like, ooh, there is actually no Mandarin here. But I believe y'all, and I'm excited for somebody. I mean, I just like good villains. I'm here for it.
So
Yes.
if you haven't seen the short, and I don't know if you remember this, Marvel made a bunch of shorts after a lot of these movies. There's a short that is not called Hail to the King. It's something to the King, which is about Ben Kingsley's character, Trevor, which is about Trevor being in prison.
With all his drugs.
And his
yeah.
beer and his drugs, being in prison, and at the very end, he gets visited by somebody who essentially just killed or knocked out all the guards in his block, who comes up to him, and one of the last things you see is the guy's extending a gun out towards Trevor, and he's got the tattoo of the 10 rings, like the leader of the terrorists in the very first Iron Man movie had, or on the flag. That's how far back this goes.
Back because it's been a hot minute since I've watched these, and it's probably been a hot minute since a lot of us have watched these early MCU movies. So yeah, cool.
So I know there are a lot of people who have a problem with Shang-Chi being made because in the comic book version, it was the story of this, fantastic, world's best martial artist, whose father was based on, it literally was, the worst Asian stereotype ever put in print.
Fu Manchu. From
the 1920s and 30s.
Oh, are you kidding me?
I am not kidding you. In the original comic book, his dad was Fu Manchu. I'm guessing his dad is going to be the Mandarin in this series. And that hopefully corrects that horrible mistake from the 1970s where somebody thought it was a good idea to reboot or abscond the character Fu Manchu in a book that starred pretty much an almost entirely Asian cast.
Yeah, it definitely has not aged well.
Yeah, no.
Fun fact, my introduction to Shang-Chi was in the Ultimate Universe.
And my introduction to Fu Manchu was when I wrote about horrible stereotypes in folklore, including comics, when I was in grad school.
And that was one of the worst. All right, moving on.
Yeah, no, that's how I know him. So, yeah.
So, please, this is Shang-Chi's redemption.
Yes.
Go Shang-Chi. WandaVision. WandaVision is coming up in, I really should have looked, WandaVision.
Spring 2021.
2021, yes.
2021, yeah.
That is, of course, Elizabeth Olsen. That is Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff. That is Paul Bettany, not looking like an android, but, plays the Vision. The big announcement for this, other than the fact that the date's coming out, and it is not, in fact, set in the 50s, it's set after Endgame, is that...
Really?
Is that person with them is Monica Rambeau.
Oh, yes.
An adult Monica...
Maria Rambeau. Who's Monica Rambeau?
In the movie Captain Marvel, Pennywise, we're getting to Captain Marvel here. In the movie Captain Marvel, Lieutenant Trouble, Maria's daughter.
Yes.
He's so cute. Yes, I remember Maria. Oh, that's the daughter?
Yes. Grown up, obviously, because this takes place after Endgame, which means there's both a jump from 1995 to 2023.
Oh, get the fudge
out. And
she'll
most likely have powers.
So, and since you don't seem to know this, Go-Go, Monica Rambeau was a Captain Marvel. She is eventually given, by Galactus, I think, her own powers. She's gone by photon. It's essentially the ability to manipulate light or electromagnetic radiation. And she, for a while, actually before Carol, she was Captain Marvel before Carol Danvers. Between male Captain Marvel, who died of cancer, of all things, and Carol Danvers, Monica Rambeau, the first lead in her own black woman comic book in Marvel.
Yes.
So, that's an important character.
Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that with me because I did not know, and I'm just speechless. I'm just so happy.
I love Monica Rambeau as a character. Her her run in New Avengers when she joined the New Avengers, and they sort of, I gave her another new name and I can't even remember what it was now, Spectrum. Um, and a different design aesthetic and everything, and but her character was fantastic. Her character's always been fantastic. She is
for this. I will look it up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I hope she still has the jacket.
You know what?
Yeah.
They don't f around with these things.
Yeah.
No, the jacket's cool, but still.
So I've got this a little bit in different order, so I'm going to go in the order that I have it. So the next thing that we know for sure with a date, May 7th, 2021, Doctor Strange 2, or...
Multiverse of...
Yep.
In the multiverse of madness.
Exactly.
And the first Marvel Cinematic Universe movie that they are billing as a horror story.
Yep.
I am so here for that. Give it to me now.
Shuman Gorath. That's all I want. I want to see Shuman Gorath.
May 7th is also my birthday. Go on, Byron.
I want Shuman Gorath in this thing.
So
if we're going full horror, you need to have him.
Shuma Gorath is kind of like the Doctor, for those who don't know, the Doctor Strange Cthulhu. And he is super powerful. So one of the things...
If you ever played Marvel vs. Capcom, he is one of the most beast characters in the game.
One of the things that this tells us is that they are confirming that the multiverse is real. I don't want to give out any spoilers as to why that was still up in the air as of right now. But there is something out there anyway. The spoilers. The multiverse is real. That is the way Marvel is going forward with their storylines, which means even though they didn't say when or how, it's probably how the mutants are going to come in. It's probably how the Fantastic Four is going to come in. And joining Doctor Strange in this movie will be Wanda Maximoff. And they are really playing up that in WandaVision we get to see how she gets the title Scarlet Witch, which she doesn't currently use in the MCU. And that connects directly, they are saying, the WandaVision series to Doctor Strange 2. So if you really want to not be surprised by something that's happening in Doctor Strange 2, you probably got to get that Disney Plus subscription and watch WandaVision.
But I hope we still also, for everyone who doesn't, I hope we still get that horror movie.
Oh, no, it's going to be a horror movie, and it's going to be a horror movie with a witch and a wizard.
I guess I will, if someone in my social circle gets Disney Plus, I will chip in for a viewing party of these shows.
There you go. Yeah, once it's all up there, you can stream the whole thing. All right. We got a few more to go here. So this is the one that everybody has just been, I'm not going to use that phrase, have just been very excited about.
Getting all hot and bothered.
Hot and bothered. Spring 2021. Kneel before Loki.
Yes.
They have confirmed that Hiddleston as Loki is the Loki from, this is kind of a spoiler, folks, if you haven't seen Endgame, from the middle of Endgame, who grabbed the cube, the Tesseract, and disappeared. So that Loki is the Loki whose very most recent memory, aside from being put in those weird chains things, was getting the snot beat out of him by the Hulk. He probably still thinks he... Hold on, I got to finish. You do that again, go, because we weren't on... There we go. Puny God.
That's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
Exactly what happened. That's where we are.
He probably thinks he still has to work for Thanos. He certainly hasn't had the redemptive arc of going through Ragnarok and the loss of Asgard and all of the other things that is, he's Avengers Loki, he's not a nice guy.
No, I just think of him like when I read this, I was like, oh, oh, right. We're going back to like petulant
Yes.
styles Loki when he's still like, I mean, oh, it's gonna be so.
Insufferably low.
Yes, my dad killed my real dad and
He's
then
not
made me a dad, or
insufferable.
took me for as a dad, and yeah.
He has too much style to be insufferable.
True.
But and that's I mean, again, if they were just gonna cast him as like a petulant child for the whole thing, nobody'd want to watch like this god be like, man, here, like give me all the things. He's going so, but we're getting that Loki, which I loved that we saw in Endgame with him with the Tesseract and shoot. And so we're going back again to, because there have been so many, like there've been so many people who've said, oh, you turned Loki into a joke. It's like, no, it's called character development, but now we're going back. We're going back to like the absolute like jokester, like god of mischief.
Exactly. Hello, person writing in Arabic script that I cannot read. My son can. I can't. Welcome to the show. Yeah, he is going back to the God of Mischief. They didn't say whether or not this is going to be, as has been rumored, Hiddleston as sort of a framing device with different people playing Loki in different iterations of him, like young Loki, like female Loki, and all of these things are canon, folks. These have all been in the comics.
Yep.
That's been kind of the rumor. That seems to be less clear now that they trotted Hiddleston out and made it so clear that he is a Loki that happens right after the last time we saw him, Endgame. So.
That's going to be the exciting thing, because I think I don't know anybody that hasn't bought into and absolutely loved, even like fans of the comics like myself, who just see this, who see Tom Hiddleston as just loving that role and giving us like so much good stuff. And so to go back to that evilness, because some people are like, oh, you turned Loki into a joke. Fine, we're going back to it. So if they're going to give us that history, like, I'm just so here for it. Just I guess I'm just counting on them doing it smart. And again, it's
make him an anti-villain.
Yeah. Also, it's Disney Plus. Does that mean we can get like PG-13?
Yeah, PG-13. They've said Disney Plus will not go R.
That's fine.
Well, but then again, none of the movies have been anything other than PG-13. So,
like, give me at least what's going to sort of match the comics. Like, that's all my thing. But again, female Loki, child Loki, it's all there.
Very cool. Chodor, the Lokiverse. Yes, it is all Loki's universe. Next topic. We only got two more, folks, so we really got to blast through these. Next up is Hawkeye. Disney Plus series. Jeremy Renner. They've announced this before, but they made it absolutely abundantly clear that this will be Jeremy Renner and the character Kate Bishop. We don't know who's playing Kate Bishop. The logo, jumping real quickly back up to the Phase 4 graphic. The logo is, in fact, if you see the Hawkeye up there, exactly the same logo as the Matt Fraction written series that was genius, had both Clint Barton and Kate Bishop dealing with the fact that they're both Hawkeye, or both have the title Hawkeye, and it's funny in ways that comic books often aren't even close to being funny.
Didn't Adrian Palicki play Kate Bishop in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Nope, she played Bobby Morse.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, different character.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure.
Yeah. That was, in the comic book continuity, Mockingbird is, or was, Clint Barton's girlfriend for Hawkeye's girlfriend for a long, long time. Although that wasn't the case in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because there was no Hawkeye in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But, no, Kate Bishop is one of the young Avengers. Kate Bishop is a teenager who takes up the mantle, because she's a brilliant archer like Hawkeye, like Clint Barton, who takes up the mantle of Hawkeye while Clint Barton is doing the whole Ronin thing, which we saw again in Endgame. that they actually made Hawkeye, they made Clint Ronin for a while.
For like 5 minutes, but sure.
Well, yeah, for 5 minutes. They don't explore that. I mean, yeah, it was a couple of years worth of comics, but that's okay. Anyway, that is fall 2021. The next exact date we have is November 5th or 6th. November 6th,
Yes.
2021. No, November 5th, 2021. And that is Thor, Love and Thunder, Thor 4. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago that Waititi was tagged to do Thor 4, but there was zero information about it. That was the biggest drop, the biggest announcement. Natalie Portman is coming back as Jane Foster, and they are going to be recreating the Jason Aaron run, the Goddess of Thunder, the Mighty Thor story. Jane Foster, it takes over the hammer when Thor Odinson is determined to be unworthy.
Interesting thought. I'm not sure where they're going to go with this, but this would explain why she wasn't in Ragnarok in any form or fashion. Because in that run, can I spoil that?
Ragnarok, yeah. But
no, in the comic run for Mighty Thor, I mean.
Let's not get too spoilery. I mean, we know that Jane Foster becomes Thor.
Yes.
You can reference the big
yes
problem.
Yes, the big problem. Yeah, she wasn't in the best of health.
Yes. That's not. I don't know if they're going to go with this, but that's in the very first panel of like Mighty Thor, so that's not a problem. Jane Foster has cancer.
Yes.
So I don't know if they're going to do that part of the story, but just the fact that they're doing the Jane Foster, that we get a female Thor.
It can explain why she wasn't in Ragnarok, though.
Yeah, she wasn't in Ragnarok.
Well, I mean, if we're just talking about the MCU, then it goes back to the fact that she is a scientist.
Right.
And she has all these grants, she has all this stuff, and Thor is even like, I think before like Infinity War, like she broke up with me, like that was the whole thing, and I thought that was a beautiful takeaway for Natalie Portman, who was there as the damsel in distress, and then she wasn't, because again she's a scientist, but there was this whole thing with Thor where, like, I don't remember what movie it was. Like, there's so many MCU movies, and I watch them all the time, so sometimes I get confused. But Jane Foster did break up with Thor because she had to focus on her work.
So that was Ragnarok, and in fact, that's what Thor said. So with the joke implied there is that she just dumped his ass, and he made up all these excuses about, oh, she has important work, which he does.
Whatever it is, the point is that she excused herself from the story.
She did.
And so if she's coming back, you got to, and again, like, I haven't read these new MCU like comics, so I'm like, okay, whatever, like, sell it to me. If she's coming back in MCU as the new Thor, that's great. Give me a good reason. That's all I ask. I have no compunction with her as an amazing, strong woman scientist.
So the MCU, while it took a different direction from the way the comics made Odinson no longer worthy to wield the hammer, the MCU has made Odinson at least no longer interested in wielding the hammer. At the end of Endgame, and this is kind of spoilery, but Valkyrie is made king of Asgard.
Yes.
And Thor makes it really clear he doesn't want anything to do with this shit for a while. So either he sort of voluntarily, because there's nobody to take it away from him, Odin's dead. So either he voluntarily gives up the hammer, which seems to be the case, as opposed to having it taken away from him, which happens in the comics.
Yeah.
But there is a gap. There is an empty hole that needs to be filled, and that is the role of Thor. That's what happened in the comics in a different way, but that's also what happened at the end of Endgame. So
very true.
It makes 100% sense that somebody is given it. The reason that Jane is given it in the comics is because she does have that connection to Asgard because she was Thor's girlfriend for so long, and they were not also in the comics when this happened, they were not connected at all. Other than they were good friends, and in fact, Thor showed up to her before she got the hammer to discover that she was stricken with cancer, and literally tried to say, "Hey, let's go to Asgard and fix you." And she went, "I'm done with that stuff." And then, as it turns out, she wasn't, because the hammer.
Yep.
So Anthony asks, but isn't Mjolnir still destroyed in the main MCU timeline?
I was
Anthony,
just
did
gonna
you
ask about
watch Endgame? And it's so I kind of don't want to spoil that.
You have to watch it. You just have to.
You have to watch it, and Mjolnir, because of time travel and all this other weird, Mjolnir comes back.
It's really pretty epic. So
Yeah.
just
Yes.
a dear friend who is chiming in. The best thing you could do is just watch it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
If you haven't watched Endgame, watch it, or if you don't remember that, watch it again.
Exactly that. It's a very important moment.
Yep.
It is so
For a whole lot of ways, including further development of Thor's character that leads him to his decision. Anthony says, "Yeah, but it gets brought back to its spot in the timeline, didn't it?" No, because I don't know. I'll have to look at that. I don't think that's one of the things that Steve had with him when he left, but I might be wrong.
I did see him get on the time platform with the hammer.
All right. In that case, Anthony, you may be right, but hey, time travel, and multiverses. So,
Yep.
and Nidavellir is back up and running. So, Tyrion Lannister, I mean Peter Dinklage, can make a new one.
It's both. It's both.
It's both.
True.
I'm not sure. That's a good point, Anthony. I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but they will obviously do it because they made it clear.
Also, I'm looking at the font for this logo, and I just love the retro like 80s metal vibe.
Oh, that looks like it's from the late 80s, 90s, like heavy metal. You remember that?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
It is absolutely correct.
It's got that awesome late 90s Photoshop chrome gradient across the Thor. It's so 80s and 90s.
It's perfection. I wouldn't change it for the world. I want it on all the tank tops, all the t-shirts. It's just correct. It's just correct. Taika is a genius.
Yes, I was just going to say, Watiti-sama, give me more.
He is a genius. I do have to say that a lot of my really early web designs, unfortunately, use that for logos way too often. That color gradient, it's a little triggering, to be honest. Anyway, it does look like it belongs on a Dio album. I agree, Anthony. We have run way too long, but I knew that was going to happen because we had so much stuff to cover. Real super quick. Extra. Byron, talk yourself out.
Yes, Byron D0 doing all the things in the interweb. Leave trash cans, streaming. I even have some YouTube stuff now where I do indie game reviews for Nerd Caliber. If I get them on the site at some point. Woo!
Go!
Hi, I'm Gogo Incognito, and I will be competing next week for the Master of Nerdlesque competition in Burlesque. If you are anywhere around Kansas, you can come see me and just get in on the glory. It's amazing. Also,
Just gonna rock it.
Anywhere around that, tune into my stories on Instagram. It's so easy to find me. Just remember Gogo Incognito. That's Gogo Incognito. It rhymes. Gogo Incognito.
And on our last topic, that made me think of a Kansas album cover. So cool. But Rodney Brown, editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, first-person shooter, Burley_adopter, signing off. We will be, I will be, and some other people of Nerd Caliber will be at Pop Cult Anime Con on the 3rd and 4th of August. Then we're Terrificon, and then we have a booth at, and we'll have a huge presence at Fan Expo Boston, Boston Comic Con, Hope to see you at some of those cons here in New England. And bye-bye, folks. Have a wonderful and cool week, because it's going to get warm again.
Bye, y'all.